Follett ISD was built in 1925. Through general maintenance and upkeep, along with the passing of several bonds, the school facilities have been kept up to par. Overall, we still have a very nice campus with all the latest technology and equipment available to our staff and students. As you can see, the yard has been very well maintained. Lining each side of the sidewalk are flower beds, which create a very appealing entryway. As you enter the school building, to your left you would see the elementary wing, and then to your right, the high school wing. Here are just a few of our classrooms. All of the classrooms are approximately the same, with about 900 square feet. Each of the classrooms provides more than enough room for the students according to TEA guidelines. We have two computer labs, one for the elementary and one for the high school. The elementary computer lab will hold 18 students. It also has an area in the center of the room for the teacher to work with students who are working on reading skills. The high school computer lab will hold 28 students. To the right, you will see the science lab. The science lab is shared by both the high school and elementary students. To the right, you will see the auditorium. It's of nice size and will hold 300 people at full capacity. To the left is our school cafeteria. It holds approximately 75 students, which causes us to have to run 3 lunches, one for elementary, one for junior high, and one for high school. At the bottom is a picture of our elementary library. You can see in the center of the room that there are 7 computer workstations along with other tables used for tutoring. We have 2 gyms, so cleverly named the old gym and the new gym. I was unable to take a picture of the new gym due to the water damage repairs that were in progress for the past month. In the bottom corner you can see a picture of the old gym, still used largely by the elementary students during recess and PE when it's too cold or wet to go outside. Here are some of our outside facilities. Starting first with the field house, you can see that it's a very large building. At the end showing is the concession stand. At the opposite end of the building are bathrooms, which are used throughout the year for football games, baseball games, and so forth. Then we have the track. We'll discuss that more here in just a little bit. The baseball field. Then we have the football field. You can see the new press box that was put up 3 years ago in this picture. Also, behind me in this picture, there is the new scoreboard, which was installed 2 years ago. And last, in the bottom middle, is the elementary playground, which we will also discuss here in just a little bit. Though we have nice facilities that have been very well maintained throughout the years, there are some areas of concern that I would like to discuss tonight. The roof and ceilings, the activity bus, a softball field, pre-KK playground, a weight room, a PA and phone system, the accessibility of our school to visitors and intruders, field house, display cases, hot water in the restrooms, parking lots, driveways, and the track, and the school marquee. The roof is one of my major concerns. The current roof we have is 20 years or older. It has been patched numerous times over the last 20 years, but still, every time it rains or snows, the ceilings leak, especially around the skylights. In the pictures that I've provided, in the first one, you can see where the drop ceiling has actually fallen through because the tiles to where the cords are screwed in have actually collapsed due to water damage. In the next picture, you can see where the ceiling itself has started to collapse in. In the 3 pictures on the far Right side you can see water damage where tiles are starting to fall in or just stains that are on the ceiling. And in the bottom two pictures you can see more water stains. Each time it rains, we've had our current activity bus for 10 years. Right now it has approximately 485,000 miles on it. The outside of the bus is still in great shape with very few dings and scratches. However, the inside of the bus has started to deteriorate, as well as the mechanics of the bus. You can see the pictures I have provided you with. The going into the steps, that is pretty typical of what you will find throughout the bus on the carpet and the walkways. They're just tore up and worn out. As you look down the aisle of the bus, it looks pretty good. It's kept really clean, but you can see I showed you one of the areas where we actually have chairs that have been broken off and that are missing. There are also several chairs that do not sit straight up. They fall backwards when you sit in them. Probably the biggest hassle of all, this year alone, it's been in the shop 4 times due to one breakdown after another. There have been at least 2, if not 3 different occasions where our students were stranded 2, 3, one time 6.5 hours away from home. We had to borrow a bus from another school to get home and then turn around the next day and find a way to get that bus back. So the expense that it's costing us to maintain this bus really isn't worth it. I feel that we could benefit due to the large amount of driving that we do and the distances that we have to travel from buying a brand new bus, not necessarily a Van Hool, maybe a Bluebird, something that we could afford, but something that would be nice and provide us with the storage capacity that's needed. A brand new Bluebird bus, which would be painted similar as this one's painted, would cost us around $220,000. Next, I would like to talk to you about building a softball field. We started playing softball 5 years ago. Still yet, we do not have a field. You notice in the top left-hand corner is a picture of the field that we practice on. It is located here in town, but it is a T-ball field. You can see in the picture below it, the red circle with the red arrow. There's about 10 feet of space between the infield and the outfield fence, which doesn't come close to the 200 feet from home plate to the fence regulation that softball fields should be. In the next pictures, these are pictures of the tennis court. As you can tell by looking at these pictures, we no longer play tennis. The tennis courts are not maintained. They are tacky and unsightly, to say the least. This is right next to our football field, field house, and baseball fields. We could keep the existing cement cinder blocks that are going around in the pictures, as well as the fence, and just tear out the concrete and possibly the large oak that you see in the bottom middle picture, and build a softball field right there. You can see the green lines in the top right picture and the bottom right picture. Those represent where the fence lines would be coming behind home plate, and they well meet the distance required of the 200 feet for a softball field. The yellow line represents where the center of the outfield to home plate would be, again meeting the 200-foot requirement. I have figured that with the concrete being removed and the fencing that's not needed and replaced with fencing that is needed, dugouts, it would cost approximately $30,000 to $40,000 to build a softball field. We have an extra set of stands that are not being used at our baseball field that could be transported, so those would not need to be purchased. This is our elementary playground. As you can tell from the pictures, it is a very large area, separated by a fence in between what would be the elementary playground and what is supposed to be the pre-K kindergarten playground. You can see in the top left corner that the pre-K playground consists of one plastic dollhouse and 2 sandboxes with no coverings. I would like to recommend that we purchase a piece of equipment similar to that seen in the bottom picture, but on a smaller scale, to put in the pre-K side of the playground. During elementary recess, there are approximately 90 children that play on that playground, which is far too many, especially when you start putting 3-year-olds with 12-year-olds. Therefore, our younger kids have to find a different time that they can come out to play, which becomes a scheduling issue since we have to juggle PE periods with high school coaches and so forth. A piece of equipment, as I'm talking about, to have it installed there between the 2 sandboxes would cost approximately $20,000. Our weight room is located directly behind our playground. As you can tell from the outside of the building, this is a very old structure, what used to be a classroom. This classroom was converted into what is now the weight room. Unfortunately, it's still very small, approximately 800 square feet, and the roof is in bad shape. You can tell from the 3 pictures to the right that there is not a lot of room inside of this building, which leaves very little room for weight equipment. When the high school is working out, that is approximately 45 boys or 45 girls working out at one time, and obviously this room isn't big enough to hold 45 students and allow for them to lift weights. Many of the students have to stand outside, which becomes an issue of monitoring them, making sure they're not getting into trouble while they wait their turn to get to the station that they're supposed to be doing. I would like to suggest that we build a new weight room either in this same spot or over on the other side of the field house, since the boys are the ones that use the weight room most often. I figured a new weight room would cost approximately $50,000. Our PA system no longer works. It went out about Christmas. We had somebody come out to look at it. There's only one person within a 200-mile radius that will even work on it because it is so old. And they said they estimated it to be around $10,000 to fix the bare necessities to get it to work again. Many of our classrooms do not have speakers that are working. The wiring has gone bad. There is no way for our teachers to contact the office in the case that there was an emergency. I would like to suggest that we purchase an updated, newer PA system, something that would work through telephones, which would allow each teacher's room to have a phone, to which they could call the office, and the office could call them, or it could be used as a PA system as well, reaching all the rooms at the same time. The companies would be able to use the wiring that we do have as long as it's working and has been maintained well enough that they can connect to it. By using the wiring, it would cut down on some of the cost, and we would be talking about approximately $60,000. With all of the violence that's taking place against our schools, safety has become a huge concern nationwide. As you can tell by looking at these pictures, our front entrance is wide open to any intruder, visitor, guest, parent. In the red circle, you will see the windows that line the entry to the school. These are floor-to-ceiling windows, creating easy access to an intruder. The 4 doors that are in the front, one of them must remain unlocked at all times because it's the only way guests, parents, anybody like that can enter the school. So one of them is kept open at all times, leaving the entire school building open to whoever walks through that door. There is nothing, as you can see, to prevent them from walking down either the high school or the elementary wing of our buildings. In the bottom 3 pictures, you can see the pink arrows going across. One suggestion to fix this problem would be to put doors up at these 2 locations, preventing someone from entering either the high school or elementary wing. You could place a security type system where it had to be buzzed for it to be open, meaning that they would have to check into the office before they could gain access to either side of the building. The other alternative, if you look back at the top picture, would be to wall in this area that is circled in red. There's actually a patio area up there that a wall could be built and then attached to the roof line. Where the yellow box is, you could put a door leading into the principal and secretary's office, again making it so that they do not have complete and total access to the entire school building. In the top picture, you'll see the 4 red stars. These represent administrative offices. So either scenario would work. Probably the fastest and best would be to put doors keeping intruders from going down either wing of the school, the elementary or the high school. If you chose to do that, you're looking at approximately $50,000. This is our junior high boys football locker room, which is located in the field house. As you can tell from these pictures, it is a very small room. If you will look in the 2 bottom pictures, you'll notice that there is a huge metal cage. That metal cage is actually used to hold lawn equipment and some football equipment, but mainly lawn equipment, baseball equipment, and things of that nature. Over 1/3 of this locker room is actually taken up by this metal cage, and in this tiny space, 35 boys share it to dress out for football and off season. It would be too expensive, and you also run into the problem of space, where to go to extend it to make it any larger than it already is. So I would suggest that out behind the field house on the opposite end, we build a storage shed so that our maintenance can keep their lawn care products, tools, baseball equipment, and things of that nature in there. You can also see in the top left-hand picture, those are different items that need to be stored, but there's nowhere to store them. So they are just left on the back side of the field house, left open to anybody that wants to take on more to the elements or what have you. a storage shed is a relatively cheap fix. You could get a storage shed either pre-built or have someone build it for you for about $15,000. Probably one of the only good problems you can have at the school is we are currently out of room in our trophy cases. If you'll notice in the top 3 pictures, these are the 3 trophy cases as you come into the school building. Trophies are stacked on top of the cases. You can see in all 6 pictures the trophy cases are packed to their fullest, as much as they'll hold, and there's no more room. We have, I would say, approximately 20-25 trophies that are in the coach's office down the hallway, just sitting in a closet because there's nowhere to display them. Many of these trophies that are being shown are 15 to 20 years old. I would say about half of them, and could be moved somewhere else, but we probably shouldn't get rid of them because then that upsets the people that want them. So my suggestion would be to purchase, I would say 5, maybe 6 more trophy cases to put throughout the hallways of the school so that we can begin to fill them up as well. I estimate that if you were to purchase 5 or 6, depending on the brand, you're looking at roughly $10,000. Possibly $15,000 if you had them installed. Many people do not know this, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but we do not have hot water in our restrooms. It's not that it's turned off so the little kids don't burn themselves. We don't have it. It's non-existent. I have taken pictures of all the bathrooms, the elementary, high school, and auditorium boys and girls bathrooms. As you can see, in the elementary and high school, there are cabinets that are already underneath the sinks. In the auditorium restrooms, there are not, which we would need to build some, because my solution to this problem is to get a portable hot water heater and place it in each bathroom, and then run the wiring that would be needed to operate it from existing wiring down to the hot water heater. To do all 6 of these bathrooms, you're looking at approximately $15,000. The 3 pictures along the left are pictures of our track. This is one section of our track. I did not go around the entire thing taking pictures. However, I will say that the entire track looks pretty much the same. You can see in the top picture the huge crack that's running along. In the middle picture, you can see going down the runway the huge area where there were cracks and roots and grasses and everything else growing up in the track. And then again in the bottom picture, another huge crack running the width of the track. The pictures to the right are pictures of our parking lots, driveways that are throughout the school. Though I didn't take pictures of all of the problems, I did take pictures of some of the larger problems. As you can see in the top picture, there's a huge area that is in our gym and ag parking lot. There's a huge area where there's a pothole and other divots and ruts. In the top middle picture, you can tell that again there's a huge pothole. That is where our buses travel. The picture doesn't show it as clearly as it does in person, but that is a very rough driveway right there. In the bottom middle picture, again at the back side of the bus driveway, you can see another pothole, and then the bottom picture shows another driving lane at the front of the school with a huge pothole on either side of the road. It would cost us around $260,000 for a company to come in and repave all of our parking lots, driveways, and the track as well. This is our current school marquee, which is no longer being used due to the fact that it's broken. The hinges that hold the glass were broken about 5 or 6 years ago due to high gust of wind catching it and slinging it backwards. Much of the marquee board itself doesn't hold the letters the way it's supposed to because it's been bent or broken over the years. This marquee is very old and outdated. It's also very time consuming. When we were able to use it, it would take anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes, depending on what you were putting up there, to get it put out for the public to see. Due to the amount of time it took, the marquee was only updated on a weekly basis, and not very much can be put up there. I would suggest getting a digital marquee, something that can be updated from the computer inside the main office. This would be beneficial to the community who uses the marquee to stay in touch with what's going on. They know what their kids or grandkids are doing. It wouldn't be time consuming, and it would look a lot better than this does sitting out in the front lawn. A new marquee, a digital one, would cost roughly $40,000. Of course, that depends on size and style and things like that, but for one that's about the same size as what we have now, you're looking at around $40,000. So, just to recap, the roof and ceilings repairs and replacement would cost around $650,000. A new activity bus, like a Bluebird, would cost $220,000. To build a softball field and place the tennis courts would cost $40,000. To add on to the pre-K and kindergarten playground would cost $20,000. To build a new weight room would cost $50,000. To replace the old PA system and phone system, $60,000. To add doors to either side of the foyer area around the offices to prevent intruders from entering the elementary or high school wing of the building would cost $35,000. To build a storage shed to hold the equipment that is now taking up the junior high football locker room space would cost $15,000. Display or trophy cases would cost approximately $15,000 installed. To have hot water run to all 6 restrooms, including the wiring, would cost around $15,000. To have the track and other paving needs redone would cost around $260,000. And to buy a new digital marquee would cost around $40,000. Bringing our grand total to $1,420,000. Then if you add $150,000 for the architect and leave $150,000 for wiggle room for unforeseen problems, unexpected costs, materials go up, so forth, you're looking at $1,720,000. I realize that this is a large sum of money, which is why I suggested that we vote to pass a bond. It would be very beneficial not only to our students, but many of these projects would be beneficial to the community as well, such as the softball field, which could be used by Little League teams, the marquee, which is used by the community to see what's going on at the school, the weight room, which is used a lot by community members. The track also is used by many community members, old and young alike, and so forth. So I feel that all of these projects are long overdue, and many of them are very much needed due to safety or just well-being of the school, like the roof and PA system and the doors in the foyer. Thank you for your time.